You're going.
I'm going out.
You're not going. You're staying home.
In The Godfather, there are many different characters who secretly have their own mission and want to feel respected. It's hard to know who will stay loyal or betray you, and Carlo is a character who almost got away with his betrayal to the Corleone family. It was pretty surprising at the end of the film to learn it was Carlo who was responsible for Sonny's death. Michael let Carlo meander free, making Carlo think he had gotten away with it. He even gave Carlo a job in Nevada, saying he'll be his right-hand man there, and became godfather to his son. But this begs the question, how did Michael figure out it was Carlo all along? And why did he continue to keep him in the family, giving him a job and being godson, even though he knew he was the rat? There are many key details that will give us these answers. Let's dive into it. First, let's start with Carlo's backstory. Carlo was half Italian, half Sicilian, and came to New York from Nevada due to trouble with the law. He met Sonny shortly after moving to New York, and the two immediately became friends. Through Sonny, Carlo met Connie Corleone at a surprise birthday party for Vito, as shown at the end of the second film. The two began dating shortly after that and eventually got married in 1945. Despite this, Vito dislikes Carlo, and in the book is described as a punk who is sore at the world. Vito agrees to his daughter marrying Carlo, only under the condition that it is a traditional Italian wedding. And because of Vito's scorn for Carlo, he doesn't give him a job within the family business. Instead, Vito gave Carlo a small bookmaker's business on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, reporting to Willie Ticci on the business. Carlo was abusive from day one, and beat Connie into giving her the purse of money she received on their marriage day. But being shunted out of the family business angered him even more. Carlo took this anger out on Connie and kept on beating her, and also cheating on her. The book describes him as being a real loser, and in no time, he had run this bookmaking business into the ground. He has also been drinking, cheating, and gambling as well. Now, an important point to note is that Connie went to her parents to complain after he first beat her. But surprisingly, Vito did nothing to Carlo, and instead told her to go home and learn how to behave so that he will not beat you. The reason the Don didn't do anything is because of Italian tradition that prohibits fathers from intervening in their daughters' marriages. But even as cold as he seemed towards her, he was still upset, and had his men figure out what he did with the money from the wedding and had them report to Tom Hagen about everything that went on at his bookmaking business. Now, after Carlo realized there weren't going to be any repercussions from Vito or the brothers, he began getting very confident and even started bragging to two of his writers on the book about it. But shortly after his confidence grew, Sonny figured out about the beatings that took place. And well, we know what happens next. Sonny stops by to see Connie after Vito's assassination attempt and sees her eye is black and blue and takes measures into his own hands. He beat Carlo very badly and told him if he did it again, he would, quote, kill him. This leads us to Carlo's betrayal. Now, once this happened, Carlo became even more enraged and wanted to get back at Sonny. His book was being shut down because of the war, and his irritation began to grow. Many people hate Carlo in the film, but it's hard to deny the wits in his setup that got Sonny killed. Barzini and Carlo got in touch shortly after Sonny beat him up, and in Carlo's anger, betrayed the Corleones. He had Connie answer the phone to one of his mistresses, which caused her to snap. Carlo then proceeds to give her a terrible whooping, and Connie then calls Sonny, telling him about what has happened. This causes Sonny to drive over there to handle this situation himself. But as we all know, Barzini's men were waiting on the causeway ready. They opened fire, killing Sonny in devastating style. How did they figure it out? Now, let's uncover how Michael figured out how it was Carlo, and not anyone else within the family. The irony is that it wasn't Michael that actually figured it out. Let me explain. You see, everyone in the family knew that Connie and Carlo's fight is what ultimately led to Sonny's death. And the first person to suspect Carlo was Tom. In the book, Tom calls Carlo after Sonny's death and tells him about the news, and that nobody will blame your fight with Connie for causing this. Don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. And at that point, Carlo thought he might have been whacked, and the book says he knew he was a hair away from death. Tom knew immediately there was a rat within the family once Sonny was killed, and suspected it couldn't have been anyone else but Carlo. This ordeal with Sonny caused the Don to have to get up from bed and talk to Tom about what had happened. Although it is not shown in the film, it is assumed that Tom relayed what he thought about the situation, and the Don agreed with him about Carlo being the traitor. This puts the family in a tough spot, because Connie is still married to Carlo, and the Don doesn't want to make his daughter a widow. Not only this, but killing Carlo would show the other families, especially Barzini, that the Corleones know one of them conspired in this attack, thus taking the Corleones deeper into a war they're already losing. So instead, Vito understands this and acts dumber than he seems, calling for a meeting and putting an end to the war. Or did he? You see, Vito knew he and the family were in a losing position on the chessboard, and trying to hit back would have been the worst move he could have made. Instead, he waited until Michael came home from Italy and strategically planned out their next move while all the other families relaxed. And when Michael did come home, he was told what had happened by Hagen and Vito. And what did Michael do? He did the opposite than what many people would have done. He continued to make Carlo feel more comfortable. He gave him an important job within the family business in Nevada, telling him he will be his right-hand man. And not only this, he became godfather to Carlo's son, after knowing he betrayed the family. This made Carlo feel completely and utterly safe within the family, and he thought he had gotten away with his betrayal. Vito and Michael's decision to not only do nothing about Carlo's betrayal and actually make him think he got away with it is a huge decision, but in the long run, the right decision. The Corleones were setting up a huge plan of vengeance, as you know, which was the murder of the heads of the 5 families, and they couldn't let Carlo know or even anticipate that something like this was going to happen, because he could have reported it back to Barzini, thus preventing this monumental attack. Michael lulled Carlo to sleep, appearing completely incompetent about what he'd done, and then struck like a cobra, ripping Carlo's heart out. He definitely kept his friends close, but enemies closer. But once the Don passes away and Michael goes to Carlo's house to confront him in this iconic scene, Tom and Rocco Lampone didn't know if Michael had the stones to do it. In the book it says, Hagen and Lampone stared at Michael with astonishment. They were thinking that Michael was not yet the man his father was. Michael was still worried that there was a fraction of a percentage that he was wrong and wanted Carlo to admit what he did. And in the end he did. Carlo went into the car and slept with the fishes a few short seconds later. This was the final nail in the coffin, proving the Corleones were back on top and also solidified Michael's cold reputation. He became feared and respected like his father after this, and many of the Caporegimes went to Michael's side after he had wiped out the heads of the 5 families. And that's the video. Do you think the Corleones made the right decision and approach to this situation? What did you think about Carlo Rizzi as a character? Did you believe it was him who was the culprit? Thanks for watching and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate all the support.